This meeting shall come to order at 7:30. Would you please rise and join Councilman Separado in the invocation?
Dear Lord, we'd like to thank you for these glorious days of summer that you have given us so far and the opportunity to spend them with our loved ones. And we ask you for many, many more of these days. Going into February is a bit to ask, but I could ask anyways. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. We had a rather long caucus this evening since we haven't met since last July. It's been, as Anthony said, it's been a good summer. We have a couple of introductions this evening. One is to introduce you to our newest member of council, and that is the council clerk, Leonette Cicerelli, who is also a Maple Heights resident and doing a really great job for us. And would you call the roll, please?
Adams.
Here.
Jones. Jones.
Well,
Here.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Separati.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Brownlee.
Here.
Trojansky.
Here.
Agee.
Here.
Albers.
Here. We also have a couple of presentations from Councilwoman Agee.
Good evening. Good evening. Could Jamie Abercrombie and Charlene Clark please come forward? I would like to recognize two outstanding Maple Heights graduate seniors in District 7, Charlene Clark and Jamie Abercrombie. Charlene was the president of the class of 2015. She also graduated third in her class with a grade point average of 4.06. Charlene will be attending university in the fall to study political science. Please give her a hand. Jamie graduated with a grade point average of 3.2. While completing her senior project, Jamie volunteered at VA Hospital. During that time, she solidified her decision to major in psychology. She will be attending Kent State University in the fall to major in psychology with a pre-med background. I would like to award each of them $200 scholarship for their achievement. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Edwina. May I have a motion to approve the regular council meetings of July 1st, 2015?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Separati.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes. And do we have communications this evening?
Yes. From the Ohio Department of Commerce, Division of Liquor Control, notice to inform the city that all permits to sell alcoholic beverages in the city will expire October 1st, 2015, and to notify council of the process to object to the renewal of permits and request hearings before the agency. From the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, notice regarding application for a new Class C liquor permit by H20 Ultra Lounge LLC, 21300 Libby Road. From LeConte, Building Commissioner, notice of abatement of nuisance for property located at 14561 Pease Road. Maple Heights.
Thank you. There are no committee reports this evening, so we will move directly to the department reports, starting with the Fire Department. Chief Loomis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fire Department calls to date are 2,916. The Fire Department responded to a garage fire on Monday evening, July 27th at 14061 James. The garage was fully involved on arrival. Responding units prevented the fire from extending to the residence. It contained 2 elderly occupants. No injuries were reported. Earlier this year, the Fire Department aggressively applied and continues to apply for any and all available grants and assistance that we qualify for. One of the biggest programs that we are eligible for is the SAFER program offered by FEMA. Because of the layoffs and reduced staffing through attrition that we experienced due to the current financial state of the city, increasing our staffing was one of the most important issues to address. Fire Station 2 operates with only 2 personnel. The department operates with a minimum of 6 personnel, answering almost 5,000 emergency calls a year. At the time of our grant application, we were staffed at 29 total. We requested 6 additional firefighters that would increase our staffing to 35. This would potentially allow us to staff at 8 per shift, bringing Station 2 to its previous staffing level. On Friday, July 31st, the City of Maple Heights was awarded $1,106,958 to hire 6 firefighters for a period of 2 years. The grant covers all salary and associated benefits for the 6 individuals for the 2-year period. This is a tremendous plus for us, and my hope would be that in the next 2 years the city can recover to be able to continue the staffing level. I would also like to thank Captain Dan Seifman, who did a tremendous amount of research and work towards the grant. I would also like to thank Irene and the Finance Department for their assistance in providing all the needed financial information and guidance for grant submission. Members of the Fire Department also worked very hard in acquiring specifications for the replacement apparatus that we desperately need. Our newest rescue squad is a 2010 and our newest fire pumper is a 2002. Answering our call volume with the amount of fires we're experiencing and weathering our climate has taken its toll on the equipment, to say the least. At a point it becomes financially irresponsible to continue repairing vehicles that seem to break on a daily basis. These trucks have achieved mileage and engine hours that are nearing the potential for major overhaul. As of today, we have a squad out of service waiting on emergency brake repair and in need of major engine work to repair multitude engine oil leaks that we have been holding off on. New apparatus is 6 to 9 months away from completion when ordered. The chassis we specified for our squad will go up in price considerably to meet new 2016 EPA standards. There are currently only 100 of these chassis available nationally. Our new squad will also have a remountable patient department, allowing us to update only the truck chassis in the future, saving considerable cost. We have been fortunate that our neighboring cities have been willing to lend us pumpers and squads when we run short. This is not a situation that I would like to become routine. I would also like to thank Captain John Tippin and firefighter Tony Seelar for the work towards these specifications. End of report.
Thank you, Chief. Law Department, Mr. Montello.
There's no report tonight, other than, I thought Linda did a great job at the event we held for the senior center on Sunday, and thank you all for coming, who came, for participating, and congratulations, Chief. And I just want to, I don't know if anybody from Al Henderson's family is here, but just want to give them my regrets. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Police Department, Chief Pomelarczyk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Total calls for service for the police department since our last council meeting were 1,947, which brings us to a total number of calls for the year of 9,885. Over the weekend and the last couple of days, we've experienced numerous reports of thefts from vehicles throughout the city, but in particular in the areas of Bowling Green and Sunny Slope, and last night over on Phillips Street. They have been scattered out over on the west side as well. As always, lock your vehicles, don't leave your valuables inside of the vehicles, and be vigilant. If you see something suspicious, be sure to call Being that this has happened now, like I said, in the last 3 or 4 days, they're probably still going to be hitting different parts of the city. The general pattern is there'll be a car driving down the street with people walking through the backyard just seeing what's open. As far as the vehicle doors, don't be one of those people. The police cadet exam will be held on Wednesday, August 19th, 2015 at 6 p.m. at the Maple Heights High School. Applications are available at the police department from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, and human resources from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. The application turn-in deadline is August 14th at 4 p.m. You can turn in your applications to either the police department or City Hall. If you know of anybody who's interested in a career in law enforcement, we ask you to encourage them to come take the test. There's more details on the city website under the police department tab. To the point of the law director, Detective Al Henderson, who recently retired from our department, his funeral services were this past Friday. Al died after a 5-month bout with brain cancer. Police department was there to support him and his family, and it's only fitting that I'm right around the same day that the last homicide trial that he worked and actually did most of the work on, Rhonda Jackson, went to trial, and that person involved was found guilty and convicted of those crimes, which is what Al did throughout his whole career. So we missed him here at the department. Obviously, he was no longer here as an employee, but he gave 27 years of service to the police department, and our condolences to him and his family. And finally, we won't have a meeting prior to school starting, so I'll bring it up now. School will be starting. School's going to be starting in a couple weeks. You got to watch the school zones. You got to watch for the kids in the street. Be cautious, be mindful. Obviously, it's always that adjustment period at the beginning when those lights come on and nobody's really aware that they're on. But just be careful. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Human Services Department, Mrs. Vopat.
Thank you, Madam President. The Human Services Department has been busy over the last 2 weeks with 2 major fundraisers that we had. On the 26th of July, we had what I call my worst nightmare fundraiser, the Rummage sale here at the Maple Heights Senior Center. I want to take this opportunity to thank Councilwoman Tony Jones, Councilman Ron Jackson, Councilwoman Edwina Agee, former Service Director Lynn Rogers, Alfreda Abedini in the audience, and a number of our seniors, as well as 2 of our adult children of our seniors, Frederick Beverly and Michelle Rose, who took care of all of the refreshments. But mostly, and I asked him to join us tonight just so that you could meet him, the gentleman that brought this project to me, and honestly it shows what a caring community we have around us. He did a yeoman's job, he and our friends over at Walgreens. They collected all of the items for the sale. I understand when they thought there wasn't enough of them, they went out to sales and purchased some to make it better. They also, he got 3 of his, they used to be his friends, I don't know if they are anymore, managers from other Walgreens to move everything here on Friday afternoon, set up, work all afternoon, and then come back in the morning. So I'd like you to, well, first of all, I'll tell you that the total proceeds from 6 hours of that rummage sale was $1,400 for the senior center, and I want to thank you. And the big bulk of that work, and I'd like you to meet the manager of our local Walgreens, Aaron Price. Who brought a project to us and put all the work into it and helped us to complete the task, and it was very successful. You wouldn't have known at the end of that 6 hours that anything happened here. Everything was crated up, taken to Goodwill, and he did everything he said he was doing. I'm very grateful, Aaron. Thank you so much. The next time we'll be seeing Aaron is he's bringing the flu shot program over here in the early fall, so we'll be seeing him then. So again, thank you to all of you, because you all that I mentioned worked very, very hard that day. And then this past Sunday, we had our spaghetti dinner at the senior center, and there's so many people to thank, and our whole department would like to thank Chris's Restaurant and former Chief Jim Castellucci and Joan, and former Service Director Lynn Rogers, who I don't think is talking to me either after these last 2 weeks. They worked in the kitchen. They took care of the kitchen along with our KitchenAid, Bernadette. Suburban Pavilion, St. Andrew's Eastern Orthodox Church, the First Catholic Slovak Ladies Association, Ralph Shumsky, who had music, his band at the event. And again, the folks in this room that were helping us, as well as many, many other volunteers that I'm not going to name, but the ones in this room that worked all day and gave of their time and talents were Jackie Albers, Tony Jones, Ron Jackson, Edwina Agee, John Montello and Cheryl Saiduan from the Law Department, Irene Crowell and Janet Crosby from the Finance Department, and Tommy Black from the Service Department. Without them and all of the other people that helped, we could not have been as successful as we were. And I'm pleased to tell you that those efforts brought in $15,000 to the Senior Center budget. Also, the food pantry volunteers felt left out, so they decided to have a fundraiser on Tuesday, August 18th from 11:30 to 3:30, and then Thursday, August 20th from 4 to 8. If you'd like to stop by for lunch at the food pantry or a little early dinner, you can stop at 17100 Broadway. They're going to be having grilling hot dogs, chips, pop, for $2, and all the proceeds will go to help the food pantry and senior center stay a viable force in the community. So again, thank you all very much. We appreciate all of it. I can't tell you how much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Vopat. Finance Director, Ms. Kroll.
Good evening to everyone. I'd like to report, first of all, that we finally completed the 2014 audit. It will be filed with the state on August the 15th, and we should have the printed certified copy at least by the 1st of October. So that was an endeavor that took most of the year, but we got through it. And then also, I would like to make some comments in regards to the senior center. Mrs. Vopat and I have been working very closely together with the mayor over the last month or so, just trying to determine where we are, the financial status, and how much longer the center can be opened. If you remember, we originally budgeted to have it open through August the 31st, but due to some savings from the senior center, actually we're able now to go through at least September the 30th. And of course, with the fundraiser, that extends it another half month. And the reason I say that is that it costs about $30,000 a month, a minimum of $27,000 to operate the center. So if you want to think in lots of $30,000, that's what we need each month. So at this point, we're in the middle of October with some very good, solid prospects that may bring in another $70,000 to $80,000 that's been appealed and solicited by Mrs. Vopat and her staff. So I think that we need to commend her, and like I said, at this point, we know that the senior center will be open through the middle of October for sure, and each day brings a new day, new mercies, and every 30,000 brings another month. So I just wanted to report that. She may have something to add. Thank you.
Just to add to Mrs. Crowell, we're waiting for 3 things to come in. There are dates that are coming up. One will be August 21st. We will hear for the first one. Then we will hear the first week of October for the second one. And it may be by the next council meeting you will hear about the third one. So both of all of those 3 are in the works as right now. And tonight I tried to borrow $200,000 from Chief Vito, but he won't give me any of that. But I did ask. So, but we're cautiously optimistic that we will get through to the voters, we'll get through to the election day, and hopefully move forward after that. Thank you very much, and thanks, Irene.
Thank you, Irene.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Citizens, residents' comments, if you'd like to step up to the podium, give us your name and your address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to express yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Willie Hardwood. I live at 16655 Anthony Street. I've been there over 40 years, a little longer than that. And I'd like to ask a question about, I just heard the lady say that about ordering the books in Maple Heights. I want to know if the book's going to be ordered in the next month or 2 months. We should get that should be dead before ever election that we have, gonna have. And the balance of all the departments' books should be reviewed by the county auditor. That, I don't know, you didn't mention that, I don't know if that should be dead. And where is the money, where did the money go for recycling? I know that we don't no longer have the recycling, but where did the money go? What did you do? What did they do with it? My councilman, I'm going to relate this to you. On Anthony and Raymond, we need to have those holes repaired. I also would like to say we need to please keep the streets. How often do we get the streets swept in the streets everywhere?
The crew goes out every week, streets for.
But we haven't had this area, the following street from Raymond to Anthony, haven't been swept because of the trees from the winter. From east to west, from Lee Road to Rummage. I'd like to say, I'd like to ask a question. Why is it when we have to come to council meeting, the resident, we have to be here for an hour, half an hour before council come out to talk to start the meetings?
As I mentioned when we first started this evening, we had 17 pieces of legislation that council discussed in caucus. And as you, if you looked at your paperwork, there were several very, very interesting pieces of legislation about expenditures for fire trucks, squad cars, and police vehicles. And council was very carefully asking questions about what they were, why we needed them, and how much expense was going to be taken out of the budget. So that needed to be discussed. That's why it took a little bit longer tonight.
Well, I'd like to say to the next mayor, we need to make some changes with that. We need to be able to council come together before you come here to us open the meeting. Because I have other, I'm quite sure the residents have other things to do. There's been any time to come here and stay here for half an hour. You shouldn't have to come here to it. We have to come here and listen to the meeting. That's what we did attack that. So I think that should be, I'll just say to the next one, elected mayor to look into that situation. I used to see looking at the map we had, this has been a good mayor here in Maple Heights. And it's a good amount of people.
Name's Bruce Terrell, 6258 Dunham Road. Before I do a couple of things, the traffic cameras, you got to get them, folks. Dunham Road's a raceway. Something needs done. I watched a car bounce off the curb of Longdale yesterday because it was going too fast to make the turn. Plus, I don't know any city that would turn down $864,000 in free money. And that's what we did. There's a problem that the residents have. Most of the camera locations on our website, the 1st and the 15th. I'm sure that we can do without the citizens' fees. If we can keep the $800,000+ coming in, just a suggestion. Now I got a couple of questions, Mr. Brown, if you don't mind, sir. I'm wondering, first off, last meeting you made a statement that you had talked to, I believe, 230 residents that were homeowners. You talked to them because basically the haphazard renters that passed through the city didn't care. I'm one of those haphazard renters. Nobody made me move here. Nobody made me put the money into the house that I have. And running for mayor, I'm surprised that you would want to possibly upset 30% of the residents of the city, because right now, that's the number of people that you have in the city that are renters. I believe it's 29.7 to be exact. There are 10,489 occupied houses in this city. Of that, 3,138 are renter occupied. I just don't understand how you can consider every one of us being haphazard. Secondly, I'm wondering, and I have the Maple Heights News printout of the article on July 14th. It was speaking of the mayoral forum, and I'll quote one part in here where they were talking about 5 candidates. District 5 Councilman Bill Brownlee, who is in his first term on City Council, will be giving up his seat to run for mayor. You talk about honesty, you talk about trust. If this is what you're going to do, I commend you for that, because that doesn't normally happen, but I'm wondering if this is true. I'm wondering if that's what you intend on doing, and if so, I hope it's while you're running for mayor, which includes the primary, not just if you make the runoff. Couple questions. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a few questions, and they're to different people that here. It's concerning, everybody's concerned about the
Please
traffic.
state your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Tangela Madden, 5555 Tangela Madden, 5555 Garden Street. A few of my questions is to the chief, Mr. Pike. We're concerned, our residents have already voted about the cameras, whether they want them in the city or not. So if the city residents vote to have the cameras come back, how many more police officers do we have to hire in order to man the cameras? Because someone has to be there to give the ticket. And also, is there going to, for the police officer and the camera to do the same job, is it feasible? You know, the finance, is that feasible to have them both there doing the same job?
Madam Chair, do you want me to answer this?
Go ahead, Chief.
Okay. My understanding of the new law, which is what the current legislation is reflecting, is simply is that an officer needs to be present at the site of the camera while the camera is issuing tickets. So in essence, what you're doing is you're paying a police officer to sit there while the camera runs itself, much like you did before.
Right.
So if you're asking me the question in terms of how do we afford that from the budget, I think that would just be figured into whatever revenues were determined or what were obtained from the camera citations themselves. I'm relatively certain that cost could be easily absorbed if the citizens chose to make that choice.
Okay, so, but we'll have two, the camera and the police basically doing the same thing.
Well,
and it would have to be 24 hours also, correct?
No, you only have to have a police officer when they're actually running the camera.
Okay, so the cameras wouldn't run all the time?
That would, right now, I guess I would worry more about the fact that the cameras are ever going to come back before I decided in terms of how we would actually handle that.
Okay, so we're not sure exactly how it's going to work.
Well, in the past, they ran all the time. If you wanted to pay somebody In order for the cameras to run, a police officer has to be present whenever they're actually working.
Okay.
So you would have to pay somebody to be there at the time that the cameras are actually functioning.
Okay, and to the, I had another question. 1 second. Okay, to council. Also, we're putting the cameras back on the ballot in November. No? Oh, we haven't decided. Well, then
Time's up.
I'm leaving. If you haven't decided, I thought that was something we were going forward with.
We'll know maybe tonight.
Okay,
If
all
not,
right. Then I have this question next week.
Okay, moving on to the legislation, please.
Ordinance 2015-36, an ordinance requiring the clerk of council to deliver to the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections a proposed amendment to the Maple Heights Charter to limit the use of photo monitoring devices to detect certain traffic law violations in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its third reading?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Sefrati?
at this moment, I'd like to have the opportunity to have our police chief, Papalarczyk, offer his opinion on the cameras and the positives that it would bring to the city.
To the chair. Okay. Look, obviously this was a very hot button issue for everybody when these cameras were in place and all the things that led up to them being removed. In the end, it's up to the citizens of the community, much like everything, in terms of what type of enforcement you want to conduct here. That's all the police department does, is we enforce the laws, we enforce and we do it in a way that's acceptable to the community. The positive aspects of the cameras, in my opinion, were simply that they slow people down. Whether or not they reduced accidents or not, I have no way of telling you because they weren't in place long enough. What I can tell you though for a fact is that the traffic on Warrensville Center Road and on Broadway slowed people down. From a department standpoint, we regularly get complaints from people on side streets in the areas, for problem areas in the residents. Right now we're doing one on Mountville, we're doing one on Raymond, where we now have to staff an officer who then conducts that type of enforcement throughout. Part of his patrol day, he'll spend anywhere from 20 minutes to a half hour, depending on how much time is available, enforcing those things. The cameras, because they are mobile, could be set up to handle that type of enforcement and even lose any man-hour things. There's obviously a financial component to this. There's no denial on that. I don't make any bones about it. If you don't want a citation, it's just like you're not getting a citation if you're driving a police officer's there. Slow down, okay? Council, the city, this body, I mean, there was a lot of question and concern in terms of how this was handled. If in fact this was passed, there are other things that can be done in order, if this legislation is passed, to perhaps make it more acceptable to the people of this community in terms of what it is. You can decide with your council members what the fines are going to be. You can decide what the enforcement level is going to be. We can listen to all those things and we can set them. Ultimately, the decision is yours and members of this body as to whether this legislation is even going to be placed on the ballot or not. If you're asking me my opinion of them, I think it's a good thing. I don't think that there's any. I understand the negatives to it in terms of the financial connotations. The reality is it serves a purpose for us as a community and as a police department. In the end, it's your decision and the decision of the people up here in terms of what you do, and we'll live with it whichever way that is. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Councilman Sefrati, did you want to clarify this proposal before we vote on it?
I don't think there's really any clarification that's needed, but I would make a statement that this will allow the usage of the cameras in the city. As of right now, the Supreme Court changed or supported the law that the cameras are legal. The voters last fall voted against allowing the cameras. What I'm asking for council to do is to give the residents their constitutional right to vote on a new question with new parameters and new laws. The old question, it's moot, it's over with, It's done. We can't change the past. This is something new, and I think it's a positive tool that our police need. And financial constraints, yes, it would augment, the budget. But it also comes down to this body approving this legislation for you to vote on. That's what it comes down to give you that opportunity. I've asked this question before on many things, been denied quite a few times. I'm asking council to give you that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilman Adams?
I'd like to clarify why I'm going to vote no on this legislation.
Use the mic, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, sir.
Sorry. I'd like to clarify why I'm going to vote no for this legislation. During the last vote, there's some in this room opposition to the cameras. There was us that was for the cameras, plus the levies. Right now, my own opinion is the most important issue to me is the senior center, which we lost by 50-some votes. The cameras went down 3-1. The opposition, which is in this room, some today, stretched what it meant, and the Supreme Court of Ohio did say it was illegal, and they brought out their own rules, which Anthony is trying to straighten up with this charter amendment. But I just heard from one resident that did not even understand this legislation. So I'm asking that we bid time with this legislation, take it up at a future date, have public meetings, and really discuss what it means with this charter amendment, which is a good one. But I know the opposition is going to get up and run with it, being an election year, which is not good. Because we need the levies and we need the senior center. Here on council, we know that if that cameras was passed, we would never again have to come to you residents and ask you for a levy. But the opposition stretched it, twisted it, where there was no understanding what was going on with that legislation. Well, we could have took care of ourselves with that legislation. And right now, I don't want to see it happen again with this senior center. Because if we dirty up the ballot with different issues, I feel the opposition is going to come after us, as I heard already, and vote no. So I'd just like to go on record and say I support this legislation at a future date, but not now. But I am hoping and praying that every resident of this city supports this senior center and vote for our levy. Put all things aside, and we'll take care of this one down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Madam President,
I'm sorry, who's that?
me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you. You know, obviously this is a hot potato. Nobody wants to stand up and support it or be against it either way. It's a nightmare to want to go back and try to relive it. But here's just a couple of things to think about. According to what we heard at the last meeting, and even it came up again tonight from a resident, no one wants new taxes. No one. No one wants to pay more in taxes. That's pretty obvious. I think we can all agree on that. You know, we all live on our budgets and we don't want any more taxes, whether it comes from this city, the county, the state, or the federal government. We do not want more taxes. That's pretty much the percentage of what we're hearing about, whatever percentage that is. If it's 230 individuals, we have roughly 12,500 homes, apartments, condos, dwellings, when you add them all up. That's really not a fair sampling, at least I don't think. The cameras, 94% of the individuals who received tickets did not live in the city of Maple Heights. 94%. Okay, so 6% of the residents who received the tickets, 6% is hardly a fair comparison against the 94% who don't live here and didn't even live here and still don't live here. So, you know, this is money that came into the city that did not cost any of us additional taxes. So we can all sit here and ask everyone, we know who the opposition is against it, we know who is for it. What's the problem? What was the problem? What's going to be the problem in the future? For those of us that are leaving and those of you who are coming in here, you're going to find the same empty cash register that we have to look at every single day. There's no magic rabbit hat, whatever you're going to pull out. There's no money. It's hard to pass any kind of a levy when no one's really working for it anyway. Just because you put a levy on the ballot for the senior center, if it's for recreation, if it's for street paving, if no one's going to work for it and get out there and talk about it, and don't tell me that people who are running for office are going to stand there at someone's door and say, please vote for me, and at the same time, I support raising your taxes, because that never, ever happens. Never, ever happens. So those are some things to think about. We're going to have a levy. If this other levy hits the ballot, who's going to work for it? Who's going to support it? Who? Anyone? I don't need to hear responses tonight. I really don't. We can save that for a future time and a place. But this legislation for the cameras is a no-brainer. It brings money into the city from outside sources. It doesn't hurt any of us in this room that live here. If you don't live here and you drive back and forth, you better, if they come back, you better watch your speed.
Right.
And these were safety issues. The chief is right. He is 100% right. It slowed down traffic on every single road and street. It slowed down people in school zones and on main roads. And it helped alleviate the stress and the anxiety that our police officers are under because they can't be everywhere. And now we're down below 30 cops, which is really, really dangerous. Very dangerous. Thank you.
John?
I just wanted to, I gotta say, just for, I mean, whatever you decide.
Say it.
It's fine with me, but just some other advantages to this is
Say it.
I mean, again, you've decided it, but if you want to reconsider it, this is maybe why you would do it. You would, you know, it doesn't, you limit encounters with the police this way. You know, there's no, no one gets pulled over, no, there's no problems, you don't, you know, if someone's driving under suspension or doesn't have insurance or has drugs in the car or whatever, you know, there's no encounter with the police. You simply get a speeding ticket, and it's only $100, which compared to a normal speeding ticket, if a police officer gives it to you, it's $185 or thereabouts. But so it has that advantage, you know. So you're getting a warning in a sense for $100, and it's bringing revenue into the city, and you know it makes sense. But again, you know, perhaps we could make an exception for residents. I mean, that might be a good suggestion. But we'll see. I mean, again, whatever you decide is fine with me. But I had to say it just to get it out my conscience, you know, just so I can say I said it. I thank you.
Councilwoman Jones, please.
Madam Chair, I just want to let the audience know that I think what we did last year with the traffic cameras may not be 100% considered as a knee-jerk reaction, but it was something that was presented to us, and there was money there, and we needed to have the money. Warrensville Center Road was chosen not because of demographics, but because it was a heavily trafficked street with a lot of incidents according to the police department. That was the reason why Warrensville Center was chosen. We might not have done the right thing by not coming to the audience or to the public to explain why and what. And maybe we kind of denied that it was a money grab, but we needed the money, but we also needed the safety. So it's twofold. So when the voters voted down the levy, what it did is it changed the charter, not allowing us to ever bring back the cameras. What this piece of legislation is doing is not having us bring back the cameras tomorrow. It's changing the charter so that it reflects what, and I don't know if it was the Supreme Court because I'm not into all that stuff, but it's what the new legislation came to be that's legal. It's saying that if we do have, or if we do reintroduce the idea of having the traffic cameras, we are saying that we will have a police officer there. Therefore, we're abiding by the law. If you heard the chief right now, I'm sorry, Chief, I just put you into a captain again. If you listen to him, we don't have enough of police officers right now. Even if we had the luxury of bringing back the camera, future legislation in here right now is trying to have us bring on some part-time officers. I don't know if this is the right time for us to actually present this. I do think that with any new administration, and the mayor's right, there's not money in the mattress, and no matter how many more people we lay off or whatever levies we try to bring on in order to help support the city, this is a very efficient way of doing it. But I think that personally, I would wait until next year to see what a new administration comes up with and to see if they support this and the new council, and they're going to see that we're in the same boat. And we're just trying to change the charter to give council, whoever it's going to be, because there's a lot of people that aren't going to be up here next year, to give them the opportunity to be able to say, yes, we're going to go to the people and we're going to tell them about the cameras, but we're also going to have a police officer there, and that's fair and that's legal.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Tony. Go ahead.
As everybody can see, that there's a lot of indecision, and when you're on a second reading, you need 6 votes to suspend, and you need, I believe it's 5 votes to approve. I'm willing to take this to a third reading in the first week of September. This way, everybody will have a fair vote and vote the way they want. And at that time, we will need 4 votes, and hopefully we'll have it by then.
That sounds like a better idea, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, and that's exactly what I had expected you to bring forward, Anthony, is that this is not a vote. I mean, someone came up here and said, how many people are going to be on this? How many policemen are you going to put on the road? That is not what this piece of piece of legislation is all about. It's just, as Tony mentioned, gives you the opportunity. That's all it's doing. And we still have,
For the new
right,
people that
right.
are
We are
coming in.
presenting it to the folks that are coming in and saying, here, we allowed this to be passed so that you can make the decision whether you want it or not. And that would be futuristic, as we said. Even though, Anthony, you're going to save it till a third reading, we still have to vote on it.
Did you make the motion? You called for the motion?
Well, we already have a motion on the floor to suspend, right. So, and that has been moved and seconded, so will you call the roll to suspend, please?
Safaradi,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Brownlee,
No.
Trojansky,
No.
Agee,
No.
Adams,
No.
Jones.
No.
Suspension fails by a vote of 5-1.
So this will be on this is the second reading, and this will be back on the agenda in August. I mean, September, yes. Okay, moving on, please.
Ordinance number 2015-37. A resolution certifying to the auditor of Cuyahoga County the sums due to the city of Maple Heights which were expended to correct building violations, including the boarding up of houses, which constitute an immediate hazard to human life or health, or constitute a blighting or deteriorating influence on the neighborhood in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 731.5 to 731.54 inclusive, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-38, a resolution certifying to the auditor of Cuyahoga County the sums due to the city of Maple Heights which were expended to correct building violations and the abatement of nuisances, which may include, without limitation, removal, repair, alteration, and security and administrative costs, which constitute an immediate hazard to human life and health, or constitute a blighting or deteriorating influence on the neighborhood in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Sections 731.51 to 731.54 inclusive, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is also on its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-39, a resolution certifying to the auditor of Cuyahoga County the sums due to the city of Maple Heights which were expended for the abatement of criminal activity nuisances which constitute immediate hazard to human life or health, or constitute a blighting, deteriorating, or negative influence on the neighborhood in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 731.51 to 731.54 inclusive, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is also on second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-40, a resolution certifying to the auditor of Cuyahoga County the sums due to the city of Maple Heights which were expended for the demolition of buildings and to correct building violations, including nuisance abatement of foreclosed homes, which constitute an immediate hazard to human life or health, or constitute a blighting or deteriorating influence on the neighborhood in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 731.51 to 731.54 inclusive, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-41, a resolution certifying to the auditor of Cuyahoga County the sums due to the city of Maple Heights which were expended to cut noxious weeds and high grass, which constitute an immediate hazard to human life or health, or constitute a blighting or deteriorating influence on the neighborhood in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 731.51 to 731.54 inclusive, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-42, a resolution declaring the necessity of assessing the expense of garbage and rubbish collection and disposal within the city of Maple Heights, and certifying to the county auditor the costs due to the city of Maple Heights for garbage and rubbish collections, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-4, an ordinance authorizing the lot split of a certain parcel of real property located at 16501 Rockside Road, owned by the Salemi/Ready Wash Family Limited Partnership in the city of Maple Heights, and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Will you call the roll, please, to suspend?
Safaradi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
May I have a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Safaradi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Passed by the vote 7-0. Ordinance number 2015-47, an ordinance to amend Chapter 1226 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Maple Heights entitled Land Reutilization by adding Section 1226.02, disposition of unimproved residential lots, and declaring an emergency.
This ordinance is on its first reading.
Ordinance number 2015-48, a resolution designating September of 2015 as Save Our Homes Month in the city of Maple Heights, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll to suspend, please.
Sepharadi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones. Yes.
May I have a motion for adoption?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Call the roll for adoption.
Sepharadi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Passed by the vote 7-0. Ordinance number 2015-49, an ordinance to amend section 244.04 of the codified ordinances of the city of Maple Heights entitled Special Police and Clerical Help and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll to suspend, please.
Sepharadi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
May I have a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the roll on adoption, please.
Sepharadi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Passed by the vote 7-0. Ordinance number 2015-50, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement for one 2016 Navistar TerraStar medium-duty crawl-through ambulance for the fire department in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Sepharadi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams. Jones.
Yes.
May I have a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Sepharadi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Yes.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Passed by the vote 7-0.